On the morning of August 5, 2025, a silver Honda Civic climbed the $1 Million Highway just south of Ouray, Colorado. 3 people were inside, 2 adults in the front, a girl in the back seat. It was a dry, clear, ordinary summer morning. The kind of morning people plan a trip around. The kind you would pick if you were choosing a day to see the mountains. Near a bend that climbers call the waterfall, the car left the road. It did not skid on ice because there was no ice. It did not slide in snow because it was August. It went over the edge and it fell. It rolled 320 feet down the mountainside and came to rest upside down in the river at the bottom of the gorge. The 2 adults in the front seat died where the car landed. The girl in the back lived. She was trapped inside the wreck in the river at the bottom of the cliff for hours, while a rescue team rigged ropes down the rock to reach her. Hold that girl in your mind, the one in the back seat. We are going to come back to her, because here is what you need to understand before you ever drive this road. There was no drunk driver in another lane. There was no blown tire. There was no storm, no black ice, no whiteout, no avalanche thundering down from above. The sky was blue. The pavement was dry. Every condition you have been taught to fear was absent. And that is not the exception on this highway. That is the pattern. You have heard of this road. You have seen the photographs, the narrow ribbon of asphalt carved into a red cliff, the sheer drop falling away with no rail to stop it. The caption calling it one of the most dangerous drives in America. One recent national ranking placed it second in the entire country. It sits in the San Juan Mountains of southwest Colorado, and it climbs over a pass called Red Mountain, 11,018 feet above the sea. In winter, it is the most avalanche-prone stretch of paved highway in the lower 48 states. More than 160 avalanche paths cross roughly 20 miles of it. On one night, decades ago, more than 60 avalanches came down across 5 miles of this road, and the town below was buried in 4 feet of snow in a matter of hours. So you would expect the road to kill in the winter. You would expect the bodies to pile up in the blizzards under the snow in the season of ice and darkness and slides. They do not. Almost nobody dies on this highway in the season everybody is afraid of. The people who die here die on the beautiful days. And the thing that makes this road feel safe is the exact thing that makes it lethal. Let me show you what I mean, because this is the part that will change how you drive it. Think about how you behave in a snowstorm on a mountain road. You slow down. You put both hands on the wheel. You lean forward. You stop talking to your passenger. Every part of your body understands that you are somewhere dangerous, and your fear does the one useful thing fear is for. It makes you careful. Now think about how you behave on a clear summer morning on a scenic drive. The window is down, the radio is on. The view is enormous and you keep glancing at it, because that is why you came. You are relaxed. You are a little bored on the straight sections. You trust the road because the road looks fine. The road looks beautiful. On the $1 Million Highway, that relaxation is the trap. There is a name for what your brain is doing on that clear morning. When a situation looks safe, people quietly spend the safety. They drive a little faster, follow a little closer, glance away a little longer, because the road is giving them no reason to be careful. The danger has not gone anywhere. It has just stopped announcing itself. And a brain that has stopped hearing the alarm behaves as though the alarm was switched off. On most roads, that trade is survivable. The shoulder is there. The guardrail is there. The mistake you make while your guard is down gets absorbed by something. Here, nothing absorbs it. Here, the exact moment your brain decides the road is safe enough to relax on is the moment the road had been waiting for. Picture the drive the way most people actually make it. You climb out of Ouray, and the first few miles are genuinely frightening. And you are good, you are focused, you are gripping the wheel. Then the road runs straight for a while. Nothing happens. Your shoulders come down. You start talking again. You notice the light on the peaks. You have driven a dozen scary miles and survived all of them, and your body files that away as proof that you have got the measure of this road. You have not got the measure of this road. You have simply not yet reached the mile where it collects. In the winter, this road is often simply closed. The Colorado Department of Transportation shuts it down for hours at a time to fire artillery and set off charges and bring the loaded snow off the slopes above before it can come down on its own. When the road is open in winter, the people driving it are mostly locals, and locals drive this pass the way you would drive it in a nightmare. Slowly, grimly, with total attention. They have watched it take people. They do not look at the view. An old newspaper account of this road put it plainly. Because the speed limits are so slow and the drivers are so cautious, the kind of high-speed accident that happens everywhere else simply does not happen here in the conditions people fear. The fear works. The fear keeps the careful alive. Then summer comes. The snow melts, the passes open, and the road fills with people who have never driven it before. They come from Texas and Oklahoma and Florida in rented SUVs and on motorcycles bought for exactly this kind of trip. They come to see the most spectacular drive in America. And it is spectacular, and that is the problem. They are looking at the wrong thing. They are looking out at the peaks and the old mining ruins and the waterfalls, when the road needs every ounce of attention they have, and then a little more. The crash record tells the story with a flat and terrible clarity. In August of 2025, in a span of 3 days, 3 separate crashes on this highway killed 3 people. The car that carried the girl in the back seat was one of them. A second fatal crash came the next day. A third car went off the pass 2 days after that, and by luck, the driver survived a fall of more than 200 feet. 3 crashes, 3 days, the middle of the tourist season under a summer sky. That is not an accident of timing. That is the season doing what the season does. The Colorado State Patrol counted 13 crashes on a single 13-mile stretch of this highway near the summit. Read that again slowly. That is 1 crash for every mile of road. Picture standing at the top of the pass and looking back down the way you came, and knowing that on average, somewhere in every mile you can see, a car has already left the road. Not over a century, in recent memory, on the beautiful drive. So before we walk through exactly how this road kills, and it kills in more ways than the obvious one, you need to sit with the shape of it. The danger you were told to fear, the snow and the ice, has been fought to a standstill by men in snowplows who gave their lives doing it. The danger nobody warns you about, the dry road and the blue sky and the view, is the one that is still winning. The dry days are the killing days. Say it to yourself. You are going to need it. To understand why this road is the way it is, you have to understand that it was never supposed to be a road at all. For most of human history, no one crossed these mountains here. The San Juans are some of the steepest, most broken country in North America, and the gorge the highway now clings to. The Uncompahgre Gorge is a slot cut deep into solid rock. There was no reason to force a route through it until there was silver. In the late 1800s, prospectors found rich veins of silver and gold in the mountains between two young mining camps, Ouray to the north and Silverton to the south. The ore was there. The money was there. The only thing missing was a way to haul it out. And this land had only just been taken. It was the homeland of the Ute people, the Nusha, who were pushed off it by treaty and by force so that the mining and the roads could come. The highway you will drive was laid across ground that was emptied to make room for it. That is part of the true history, and most travel guides leave it out. Into this came a man named Otto Mears. He was a Russian-born immigrant, orphaned young, a Civil War veteran who had drifted into Colorado and discovered a genius for one specific thing: building roads where roads were considered impossible. They called him the pathfinder of the San Juans. He built more than 450 miles of toll roads through this region, and the one you know is the hardest one he ever built. The first company that tried to carve a road from Ouray up toward Red Mountain ran out of money by 1882, defeated by the cliffs. Mears bought a controlling share, brought in a bigger crew, and did the thing the first company could not. He blasted the road out of the rock. With black powder, the crude dynamite of the day, they shattered a ledge into the side of a vertical cliff, foot by foot, at a cost of around $40,000 a mile in 1880s money. By 1883, the road was through, and then Mears did what he always did. He put up toll gates. He placed them at the impassable spots, the pinch points where the cliff gave you no choice, so that you either paid him or you turned around and went home. A wagon team cost $5, a saddled horse $1. If you wanted your silver to reach the world, you paid the pathfinder, and the pathfinder grew rich. The road began killing almost immediately. A photograph survives from July of 1888 of miners standing on the toll road a few miles above Ouray, and the caption written on it records what had happened that winter at that exact spot. A great snowslide had come down and killed 16 mules and the mail carrier. Buried under the snow on the road they had all been trying to cross. That was the road in its first years. It took the animals, it took the men who worked it, and it took them in the winter, in the snow, the way everyone expected a mountain road to take people. They tried to armor it against the winter. Over the worst avalanche path, engineers eventually built a concrete snowshed, a tunnel with a roof, so that the slides would pass harmlessly over the cars sheltering inside it. But the shed could only cover a short stretch, less than 200 feet, and the slide it was built to stop is wider and longer than any shed estate could afford. The road did what it could against the snow. It was never enough, and it was never meant for the other season at all. Nobody is quite sure where the name came from. Some say it cost $1 million a mile to build. Some say the roadbed was filled with gravel that carried $1 million in gold ore, so that you are driving, quite literally, on a fortune. Some say a woman crossing it in a wagon announced she would not go back over that road for $1 million. The name stuck to the road the way fear sticks to it. Nobody argues about whether it fits. In the 1920s, the old toll road was widened and paved for automobiles. The gates came down, the tolls ended, and the wagon route that Otto Mears had blasted into a cliff to move silver became a public highway, U.S. Route 550, that millions of ordinary people in ordinary cars would drive for fun. But here's the thing about a road that was blasted out of a cliff to serve mules and ore wagons. It was never built for you. It was built for a slow animal carrying a heavy load on a route where the only law was gravity and the only concern was whether the silver got to town. The engineers who came later widened it and paved it and posted speed limits on it, but they could not move the cliff. The cliff is still exactly where Mears left it, and on the sections where the mountain gave nothing, there is nothing between your right front tire and the drop. The road remembers what it was built for. It has never once agreed to be safe. Now let me walk you through how it actually kills, because the drop is only the last part of it, and it is not even the interesting part. Start with the guardrails, or rather, the absence of them. The most famous fact about the $1 Million Highway is that for long stretches of its most dangerous sections, there are no guardrails at all. People assume this is neglect or that some budget ran out. It is not. The missing guardrails are a choice, and the reason is beautiful and horrible at the same time. This road gets buried in snow. Some winters, 300 inches or more fall on the pass. The only way to keep it open is a rotary snowplow, a machine with a spinning blade that eats into the snowbank and throws the snow off the side of the road out over the cliff where it falls harmlessly into the gorge below. A guardrail would stop that. A guardrail would catch the snow, pile it up against itself, and defeat the one machine that keeps this road alive through the winter. So they left the rail off. The edge is open because the snow needs somewhere to go. Sit with that for a moment, because it is the whole story of this road in one detail. The reason there is nothing to catch your car in the summer is that the mountain has to be able to shrug off its snow in the winter. The feature that keeps the road open in the season you fear is the feature that will kill you in the season you don't. There is no rail because the snow needs somewhere to go. And in August, when there is no snow, the place the snow was meant to go is simply the place your car goes instead. Now, the drift. You do not need to do anything dramatic to die on this road. You do not need to be speeding, though speed makes it worse. You do not need to be reckless. The most common cause listed in the crash reports is almost gentle in its wording. The vehicle failed to maintain its lane. It drifted. On a normal road, a drift is nothing. Your tires touch the rumble strip or find the gravel of the shoulder, or, at worst, kiss a guardrail that pushes you back. You correct. You feel a small jolt of adrenaline. You keep driving. You forget it by dinner. Here, a drift of 18 inches to the right does not find a shoulder. It finds air. That is the entire margin. On the exposed sections, there is no shoulder, no rail, no gravel, no second chance built into the design. The distance between a fine day and a fatal one is the width of your own attention, and your attention is exactly what this road is engineered to steal, because it is the most beautiful drive in the country, and it is asking you constantly to look away. That is the view, and the view is a weapon. Every instinct that brought you here is working against you while you drive. You want to look at the peaks. You want to see the waterfall, the ghost town, the red rock glowing in the light. You reach for your phone to take the photograph that everyone takes, and in the 2 seconds your eyes are off the road on a highway with no margin. The car does what cars do. It drifts toward wherever your attention went. The road offers you the most stunning thing you have ever seen, and it charges for the look. On this highway, sightseeing and driving are 2 different jobs, and you cannot do both at once, and the road will not tell you which one you are neglecting until it is too late to matter. Then there is the simple arithmetic of the descent. Coming down toward Ouray from the south, you are on the outside, The drop is on your side, not your passengers. You are riding your brakes down a grade that never seems to end, around blind hairpins posted at 10 and 15 miles an hour, and those numbers are not suggestions. They are the physics. They are the honest maximum speed at which a normal car can hold that curve. Every mile an hour over is borrowed against the edge. And then there are the motorcycles. This road is a pilgrimage for riders. It is on every list of the greatest motorcycle roads in America, and in the summer they come by the thousands, and some of them do not come home. A motorcycle has no drift. It has no 18 inches of forgiveness. When a bike goes wide on a hairpin with no rail, or when a rider grabs too much brake and the rear wheel locks on a curve, there is no metal box around them to tumble down the mountain. There is just a person, and then there is just air. Every one of these is a different way to die, and the road offers all of them on the same beautiful afternoon. The drift, the view, the speed, the brake, the edge. It does not pick one. It waits, and it lets you pick for it. Now let me show you the people, because the numbers are only real when they have faces. And this road has given us far too many faces. But I want to start in the winter, with the death that proves the rule, because it is the most important one, and it is the one nobody expects. In March of 1992, a rotary snowplow was working its way up Red Mountain Pass in a savage storm, leading a line of trapped cars down to safety. A chain slipped off one of the plow's tires. 2 men climbed out into the blizzard to fix it. One of them was the foreman of the crew, a man named Eddie Emil. As they worked on the tire, the slope above them let go. The East Riverside Slide, the deadliest avalanche path on the entire highway, came down and buried them both. Eddie Emil was killed. He was the 3rd snowplow driver to die on the same 100 feet of road. His partner, a man named Danny Jaramillo, was buried under packed snow, and he did not give up. For roughly 18 hours in the dark, he dug straight up toward where he thought the surface was, clawing through snow with his hands, and eventually he broke through into daylight and lived. When rescuers reached him, one of the first things he asked was whether someone could please call his wife and his kids and tell them he was okay. Understand what that story tells you. In the winter, the men who die on this road are professionals. They die in the act of keeping the pass open for you. They die doing the single most dangerous job on the mountain, in the season everyone respects. And their deaths are so serious and were once so common that after Eddie Emil was killed, Colorado built an entire avalanche control program around making sure it never happened again. Eddie Emil's death was not the first the winter took here, only the one that finally forced a reckoning. Decades before him, a minister and his 2 young daughters were crossing the pass when a snowslide came down and swept all 3 of them off the road and into the ravine below. A father and his girls gone into the snow on the mountain that was always most honest about its danger in the season of snow. For 100 years, that was the story of this road. You died in the winter, in the white, in the cold, because the winter here was plainly, visibly deadly. And then, something changed, and it changed because of men like Eddie Emil. Since Colorado built its avalanche control program after his death in 1992, not one person has died in an avalanche while driving a road in the entire state. Not one. The season everyone fears has been fought at enormous cost, nearly to zero. The winter that killed the minister and his daughters, that killed 16 mules and a mail carrier, that killed 3 snowplow drivers on the same 100 feet of road, has been beaten back so far that it now barely touches the people in the cars at all. But the summer has not been beaten back. Nobody built a program for the summer because nobody was afraid of the summer. And so the killing simply moved seasons. Now come back to the summer and watch how much easier it is to die when nobody is afraid. Return to the girl in the back seat and the car that fell 320 feet in August of 2025. The two adults in the front were a 42-year-old man and a 79-year-old woman, both from New Mexico. When the investigation came back, it found something the sky that morning had hidden. The driver was severely impaired. The car, it turned out, had been trying to turn around on the narrow road when its tires crossed the edge. I tell you that not to judge a dead man whose family is grieving. I tell you it because it is a lesson written in the plainest possible ink. On a normal road, an impaired driver making a clumsy turn gets a scare, or a dented bumper, or a ticket. On this road, the same mistake has no margin to absorb it. There is no rail to stop the turn. The edge does not care why your tires reached it. Impairment and hesitation, the two things this road punishes hardest, and it punishes them instantly because there is nothing built into the pavement to forgive either one. Fitness would not have saved them. Age did not decide it. The 79-year-old in the passenger seat did nothing wrong at all, and neither did the child behind her. Now hold that same crash against another one at almost the same spot. 2 months later, in October, a pickup truck failed to maintain its lane in that same stretch near the same mile markers and went off the right shoulder and down 200 feet into the same gorge. The driver walked away with minor injuries. Same road, same edge, nearly the same fall. In one car, 2 people died and a girl was trapped in a river. In the other, a man climbed back up a rope and went home. That is the truth this road refuses to make comfortable. There is no fairness in it. The margin is so thin that whether you live or die is decided by things you cannot control and cannot see. The angle you happen to hit, the rock you happen to land against, the depth of the water, the direction the car happens to roll. The same mistake kills one person and spares the next, and there is no lesson in who lived except that the road was never deciding based on merit. The motorcycles tell the same story from a different seat. In the summer of 2025, a 65-year-old woman died on her motorcycle near the top of the pass. Years earlier, a rider came up out of Ouray at speed into a sharp curve at a section locals call the Ruby Walls, where the road is cut into a cliff with a drop of hundreds of feet. His rear brake locked. He slid off the road, struck a sign, went over the cliff, and fell 140 feet. And on this same highway, riders have died not from their own mistakes at all, but because another motorcycle drifted across the center line toward them on a curve, and on a road this narrow there is nowhere to go to avoid it. Planning did not save the woman. Skill did not save the man on the brakes. Doing everything right did not save the riders who met someone else's mistake in the middle of the road. Count them up. The impaired driver and the careful passenger, the speeder and the woman who did nothing wrong, the rider who made the mistake and the rider who only met one. The road closes every escape route you think you have, one at a time, and it does it under a blue sky, in the season you were told was safe. So how do you drive it and live? Because you can. Thousands do it every single day and pull into Silverton or Ouray with nothing worse than sweaty palms and a full camera roll. The road is not a lottery you are guaranteed to lose. It is a road that punishes specific things, and if you refuse to do those specific things, you tilt the odds hard back in your favor. Here is how you survive it. Drive it on the beautiful day the way a local drives it in a blizzard. That is the whole philosophy, and everything else is a footnote to it. Slow. Both hands, eyes forward. The sunshine is not permission to relax. The sunshine is the warning. Do not look at the view while the car is moving. You did not drive here to not see the mountains, so see them, but see them stopped. Use the pullouts. There are plenty of them, and they exist for exactly this reason. The view will still be there when the parking brake is on. Let your passenger gasp at the drop. You watch the road. Respect the numbers on the yellow signs. When a hairpin is posted at 10 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour is not the timid choice. It is the engineered truth about that curve. Every mile an hour you add is subtracted from the edge. Never try to turn around on the road itself. If you are frightened, and people do get frightened, some drivers freeze in the middle of this pass and cannot make themselves go on. Do not attempt a 3-point turn against a cliff with no rail. Drive to a pullout or drive to the next town and turn around where there is ground under all 4 tires. Do not drive it impaired, and do not drive it exhausted, and do not drive it distracted. This is the road where there is no shoulder to catch your lapse. The margin that other roads build in for your worst moment does not exist here. You have to build it yourself by not having the worst moment. If you ride your own lane, brake before the curve and not in it, and assume that every oncoming rider is a little too wide and a little too fast, because on a summer weekend some of them are, and check the conditions before you go. If the pass is closed, it is closed for a reason that is trying to keep you alive. Do not treat a closure as an inconvenience. Treat it as the mountain telling you, today the answer is no. None of that is complicated. That is the strange mercy of this road. It does not ask you to be a great driver. It asks you to be an afraid one on the day you least feel like being afraid. Which brings us to the last thing, the thing underneath all the others. And it is not really about driving at all. You will want to make this road into a villain. It is easy to do. A road that kills careful people under a blue sky feels malicious, feels like it is hunting, feels like it wants you. It does not. The mountain is not cruel. Cruelty would require it to notice you, and it does not notice you at all. The cliff was here for millions of years before Otto Mears blasted a ledge into it, and it will be here long after the last car has driven the last mile of pavement. It did not consent to being a road. It tolerates the asphalt the way it tolerates the snow and the rockfall, and the slow work of the river at the bottom of the gorge. The drop on your right is not a threat. It is just the shape of the ground. The edge is not aimed at you. It is only where the mountain ends and the air begins, and physics does the rest, without anger and without hesitation. The mountain does not hate you. It simply does not need you to survive. Every death on this road, the professionals in the Avalanche and the tourists in the summer and the riders on the curves, is the same collision between a thing that has intentions and a thing that has none. You want to reach the next town. You want to see the view. You want to get home. The mountain wants nothing. And in every contest between a want and an indifference that large, the indifference wins without malice and without mercy, because it was never a contest at all. That is why the beautiful day is the dangerous one. Malice you could plan around. You cannot plan around a thing that will not even turn its head. So, the girl in the back seat, she did not choose the road or the driver or the morning. She was a passenger in the most literal sense, on a scenic drive on a clear August day, sitting where a child sits, probably watching the mountain slide by her window the way any of us would. She had no hand on the wheel. She made no mistake. Whatever went wrong in the front seat was decided by adults and by a road that does not forgive. and it was decided in less time than it takes to read this sentence. And then she was upside down in a river at the bottom of a cliff, alone with two people who were not going to wake up. While somewhere far above her, on the warm, dry pavement, strangers stopped their cars, and a rescue team began the long climb down to reach a child they could hear but could not yet see. She lived. Hold on to that, because it is the one piece of grace in the whole account. Out of that fall, a girl came back up the rope, but she is the reason to watch this road with the seriousness it has earned, and not the seriousness the sunshine suggests, because the next car on that highway could be carrying someone who did everything right and is trusting the person at the wheel to do the same. It could be your car. The person in your back seat is trusting you the way she was trusting the front seat on a road that will not care, on a day that will look perfect right up until it isn't. You will drive it someday. Most people who love mountains eventually do. And when you do, and the sky is that impossible blue, and the view opens up on your right and begs you to look, I hope you remember that the beauty is the bait, that the dry day is the killing day, and that the safest thing you can do on the most beautiful road in America is to be a little bit afraid of it. If you found this one worth your time, YouTube seems to think you're going to want the one on your screen right now. Go ahead and let it play.